Hello, my name is Bruce Rain from Braggers Creations and welcome to my live stream today on this absolutely glorious Sunday morning here at the moment. Feeling all fresh, which is an absolute lie. I didn't sleep very well last night, but never mind, it's all good. I'm going to say a quick little shout out to everyone here. So I'm going to have to scroll right up here and up there and look up at the chat here and see who I can see. Oh, I can see Starbuck Tech. Hello, Thomas Armstrong. Isakil Blah, Sad Mac 356, Apple's Anonymous. Who else? Dana Siberia is here. Frederick Raymer. I'm already forgetting the answers. Welcome to Video City. Michael's Workshop. Kai Robinson is here, which is very relevant for what I'm about to have a look at. Joe Williams, Baby Boomer Twerk Team. Nate Tronerud, which I'm probably getting it wrong again. I know you've probably corrected me before, but never mind. Nate will do. How about that? All Things DG, Sam Perner, and Cannon Fodder. Dave from Vintage Apple Tech is here. Hello, Dave. And Felipe Gutierrez Roja. And oh geez, careful I don't burn myself on my soldering iron. Sorcerer Stan, I have Harrison. Goodness me, there's a lot of people here today. Mystery Margot. Okay, I think I've got everyone. All right. Okay. Oh no. Good. Okay. Good. I'm glad I got the name correct. Excellent. I'm pleased to hear that. All right. Okay. So hello to everyone. Just let everyone gather their thoughts. Give everyone a few minutes to
smash that like button.
And then you can have a listen to my chickens making noise outside. I have 8 chickens, and one of them's making a bit of a ruckus out there at the moment, as chickens do. If I missed anyone in the little hello, Eric Smith, did I mention your name? I'm not sure. If I missed anyone in the hello, please feel free to say hello again. I do sometimes miss them as I'm skimming through. I go, oh no, I've already read that name. Oh, I've already read that name. And then, no, I haven't. Okay, so I didn't stream last weekend. Sorry about that, guys. Just ended up too busy. And actually, to be honest, one of the big issues I had was all of my other Maciac folks they were all sort of live streaming as well. So I was having trouble finding a spot to fit in. Shout out to Mike from Mike's Mac Shack, who live streamed today, playing around with a little MacBook. I think it was a G4, if I remember rightly. I actually have a magnificent specimen of a 15-inch G4. I guess it's a MacBook Pro, isn't it? I think they were called the MacBook Pro by the time they were those. It was given to me by a designer who looked after it so well. She's like, I don't need it. It's an old computer. What am I going to do with it? Do you want it? And I'm like, well, yeah, me, old computers, sure. And my goodness. Okay, all right, no worries. We'll get onto that in a second, Kai. I'm going to go into this. So people who may have been watching my previous live streams where I've been working on a Macintosh Classic, what do you call it, Reloaded. And so that is the reproduction Macintosh Classic board here, designed by Kai. Well, replicated by Kai. I'm not sure if we could actually call it designed. I don't know. Is it allowed to be called designed? I'm not sure. I suspect whoever designed the Macintosh Classic might object, but you know they're probably not watching, so that's okay. So we basically had this board here, and I went in and assembled it over 2 episodes, putting all the components on this side and all the components on this side. And then we tested it, and we didn't have any problem. We had actually a series of problems, and I have actually recorded some of the process of that. I've pre-recorded it, and I'll probably release a little bit of video, but I'm just going to summarize the situation here. Some artistic license, that's excellent. So anyhow, here is the assembled board. It's not fully assembled yet, it's mostly assembled. You can see we've got a lot of the components on there, a few things missing here. Obviously, if I intend to connect like a SCSI hard drive to this, I'll have to connect at least this or this up, this or this. But for the moment, I can boot from the ROM, so I don't even need SCSI connected to get it started. So here's basically what happened. When I very first tried this out, the power supply went which is basically telling me that there's a short to ground on the board because the power supply is trying to send power to it, then discovering that there is a problem and then stopping itself. And then it starts again and it gets into this little loop of trying to power itself up and then cancelling itself from doing it. And that has the sound of more or less. So that was a problem. Now, found what the cause of that problem was. I'm going to just go through that now for anyone who's interested. I mean, if you're not interested, my apologies. But if you have been watching the classic reproduction thing, this may be something that interests you. So I'm going to basically show you what the situation is. I'm going to learn you something. Right, okay. Right, so just got to check and make sure. Right, MW, hello, thank you for joining. Okay. Daniel Flackelar, did I say hello anything? Hello to you, if not, I'm saying it now. Yes, reverse engineered is basically what this is, which is fine. Let's just jump across to the microscope now, and we'll get ourselves a little bit of juicy focus. There we go. Come on, man. Okay, so what we have here are the little holes for the power connector. Nothing particularly wrong with that. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I'm going to grab an actual classic board and we're going to have a look at the same thing. It won't be black, it'll be green, but we'll see the holes for the connector there. Now, one very distinct difference I would like you to pay attention to before we move on is, where are my tweezers? Who took them? They're my big tweezers. I don't want my big tweezers, I want my little tweezers. There we go, my little tweezers. Right, pay particular attention to the size of the kind of pad area or the tinned area around the hole. If you have a look here, you can see it's quite a narrow area around the hole there. And then we'll flip this over onto the other side and we'll have a look at it. Once again, we see these little narrow bits of, sort of tinned metal around the outside of these holes. That's all good. But what I want you to pay particular attention to is just how close this is to this trace sitting directly underneath it. Trace, hole. Now, let's have a look at the reproduction board. Now, Kai, being the generous sort of person that he is, who is always trying to make these boards so that they're easy to assemble, there are certain things that you can do when you're making these things to make them a little bit easy to assemble. And one thing you can do is make sure that you've got nice, big, generous pads for things to get solder on. He has made these holes a little bit too generous. And what we have here, if we zoom in and then focus, you'll see that these metal pads here around these holes, he's made them a little bit wider and they've actually run into the trace below it. You see that? So we're effectively creating one great big long short all the way along those holes. So, oh, Joe, hello. Thank you for joining. Jared Burma, hello. Oh, my back is itchy. What am I going to do about that? What have I got to scratch it? How about this board? Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. Okay. All right, there we go. Double purpose for these boards. How about that? Back scratches as well. Okay, so there's one fault in the board, and as you know, I've been saying with these things all along. I mean, this isn't something where we go, "Oh my goodness, how did Kai do that?" You know, this is a prototype. You don't get prototypes right the first time. That's why you prototype. And so anyhow, part of this whole process has been trying to find these sorts of things, and there was one we found. So that's a relatively easy one. Kai, being super clever, what he has done is he has got all of these traces, all 4 of them, and he's moved them down. So he's moved them down a little bit closer to these pads here to give us a little bit more room around there. So now the next one that comes out is not going to have that problem. However, what I did, I've got a test board here. Kai, thankfully, goodness me, I'd have been stuffed if he didn't. Kai thankfully sent me a few of these boards, and that's given me an opportunity to use them for mucking around with. For example, one of the things I was doing was I was actually injecting voltage in these things. So if I go here to this view here, or this view here, I've connected these wires here, and I just move them around wherever needed, and I connect them up to a power supply. And when I connect them up to a power supply, it's a bench power supply, which will allow me to create a short circuit. It'll keep trying to push out power even though there's a short circuit. I can then get my infrared camera, view this, and find out any warm spots. And when I find warm spots, they lead me to where that short is likely to be. And it has worked for me for finding at least 2 of them. So what I've ended up doing is I got a Dremel, and I dremeled like this. I dremeled my little heart out. Dremel. See, look at that. Just cut them in half. Boom, 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 boom. So, problem solved for that one. Nice and easy. Next. That was the next thing. I thought, okay, problem solved. I went in and I tested it. I plugged it in, switched it on, fired it up, and some smoke started coming out. Some magic smoke. And that magic smoke was the melting of my little extension cable, power extension cable going to the board. So now, I'm no electronics expert, but from what I've been told by experts, you're not supposed to have smoke coming out. So I thought, what is the problem here? John Revel, hello, thank you for joining. I go back a long way with John, and I do thank you very much for joining in today. So here's the next thing that happened. Again, connected up some power with the power supply, and got my infrared camera, and found one whole trace, blazingly hot inside the thing. And the trace that was hot was where is it? It's this way around. It was one running. Oh goodness. Yeah, it was one running sort of like along the board here and then down. The whole thing was warm. And I managed to trace it back, I managed to trace it back to another fault in the board. And you'll see why this one happened. It's one that you'd be able to, you definitely know if you were doing this based on holding a physical board in your hand. But if you're doing this based on, say, a scan of the board, which I think is the case when Kai was building this, you do run into a bit of strife. I want you to have a look here at these 2 traces here that I may or may not be able to get in focus. There we go. Got 2 traces here, running down here, and another one here. Now, we've got 2 little vias here. For those who aren't aware of what a via is Latin for way, and via is a little copper tube that allows you to link up power or connect power from one layer on the board to another. Now, it might be just from the top to the bottom, or it might be from the top to the middle layer, or, whatever the case may be. So that joins it up. Michael Mullett, thank you for joining. So that's all fine. Okay, there's a couple of vias in there on those traces. But here's where it got interesting. This is a real classic board, as in not a reproduction one. This is the actual genuine article. And when we have a look at this region here, we find out something rather interesting. See these 2 dots here? They're not actually vias. They are things called probe points. They're designed for testing. You have a little raised bit of metal usually on it. You have either flat or a little bit of raised metal. On this one, they were actually raised because they had a little mound of solder on them. And the idea is that you use these little points for testing. However, it's not a via. It doesn't travel through to the other side of the board. So by creating a via there, Kai had inadvertently bridged together the plus 5 volt rail, the minus 12 volt rail, and negative were all linked together. And that was what was creating our magic smoke. So, okay, relatively easy problem to solve. Once again, I get out my little trusty test board where I go in and muck around with things. And I got myself a nice little thin drill, and I simply drilled these vias out. On this one, I did a really messy job, but that's because I did this one first. But at least allowed me to do some testing and discover that this did resolve the problem. So, that was my first attempt at it. My second attempt, while it may not look any better, is marginally better. This is my second attempt at it, at the real board. And you can see I bounced around a little bit and accidentally damaged this trace here, so I've done a little join there. So, created a hole there, got rid of the veer, another hole there, got rid of the veer, and then some little wires to join them up. Okay, so at this stage, I'm feeling like, you've got it, Bruce. You've got this in the bag. Come on, man. Speaking to myself in the third person and everything. So, fired it up, and I got a little bit of a pop from the speaker, and then I got a pop, 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 and then I pressed the reset button, and then it went silent. It fell silent, and it's remained silent ever since. Which makes me think I probably popped something. Something has probably died during that process. But, and finding out what that is not going to be a fun process. But, we continue. The story is not over yet. Kai went away on holidays, which is good. The guy definitely needed some R&R, there's no doubt about that. During that time, I think he had a little bit of a look at his sprint layout board thingy, design. And he came back and said, you know what? I have found, I think it was a resistor, that's just floating in space. Now, I had a look at mine and I couldn't see the same problem, but that did start me thinking. I think he probably just typed in the code wrong, because the one that he mentioned, it was fine. But it did start me thinking, I wonder if there are instances of that, of what he has referred to. And sure enough, I did find a few examples of that. See if I can find one today. Looking. And basically this is what I did. I did what I'm doing now. If I actually had some recollection of which ones, I could go straight to them, but I don't. But there's one right there. Biggity bang. C67, you can see we've got a nice little trace going from there to there to there to there, and all that's all good. This side goes nowhere. This side is just a pad on its own. It's like an island. And it is actually meant to go from here to here. And it does not. So if we have a look at the genuine board, which I'm going to just plonk down here now, in the same spot, you'll see that this one here goes from here to here. There you go. Now, one interesting thing, and I'm not sure why this is the case, but on this board here, this is just a pokey little veer. And then there is a great big veer there. So look at the size of that one, great big one. But on this board, it's around the other way. This one, it's a great big hole, and this one's a little one. So we've kind of got those switched around. This one of those should be a big hole, and the other one should be a little hole. For no other reason. I can't really think of any reason why. Don't need to, hello. Writing down all these mods so I can make them more on my board when I make it. Well, when you do make it, you should almost definitely, I mean, assuming, depending on whether you've got the revision 1 board, when you make it, hopefully you will have the revised board, because Kai has busily been fixing the thing while I've been giving him this feedback. You know, I mentioned, oh, this one is disconnected and this one's disconnected. I found one in here. I can't remember which one it was, but I found one that was connected to nothing on either side. I can't remember which one. Here's another one that's missing one side. That's meant to connect to that, to the ground. So that's C48. I can't even remember which one it was. One of them was disconnected on both sides. And I reported on it. But, so what I did then, of course, being the fact that I have already done so much work on this board and don't want to go in and do the whole thing again, what I have been doing is busily going around building bridges. Just making, let's just get a little bit of cleanliness onto that. I feel like I made it worse. Never mind. Do. Okay, so C57. Now, of course, Michael's Workshop, if you do actually want a full list of this, I can give it to you. I'm assuming if you have one of these Revision 1 boards. If you don't have one of these Revision 1 boards, you don't need to worry. So, yeah, I was just basically going through, finding all these ones that are half and half. And so, okay, what is it? Let me see if I can find the one that was 2 sides. Yep, this is the one that was 2 sides. This is R60, or is it R50? R60. So R60, he was not connected on either side. Let's just get that board, and we'll look at that. There we go. R60, just floating in a land of nowhere. So anyhow, but we've been working through it. We've been fixing things, so that's all good. Now, let me just check something. Sorry. I do have working boards floating around here, and every now and again I just like to look at them. Yep. Oh, yep. Okay. So, anyhow, one of the things that I did yesterday, which I'm very glad that I did, and I probably should have done it right at the beginning, was I got this. Let's change to a top view here, so you can see how messy my desk is. Top view. What I did was I got this board. This is a Macintosh Classic, and I whipped off every single component. It is now a completely and totally flat board. It looks a little warped, doesn't it? Maybe I gave it a little bit too much heat. But anyhow, it is now completely flat with no components on it. And what I actually intend to do, if I can be bothered, is get out the old sander and sand off the mask from the top, so that I've just exposed all the copper traces, and kind of use this as a little comparison-y thingy, flick between the two. I think that will probably make my life a little bit easier. So anyhow, there it is. There's my blank board, and this has been very, very handy, sort of checking to make sure that things are all hooked up the right way. Now, it wouldn't be an interesting story if without us actually doing something today, which is what we're going to do. We are going to do something today, and that's going to involve... Hello, Bernie. Hello, it's been a long time since you've come in and said hello while I've been live streaming. Hello, do you want to say hello to folks? Bernie is my chicken. Look at that. Oh, that's me. Okay, all right. No, she doesn't want to say hello, she's off. Right, okay, so... where we're looking on this one here, we'll just jump across to the microscope view. Microscope. Danny D, hello. I'd add LEDs to the design to indicate the status of power rails. That's not a bad idea. Okay. The scans can sometimes have odd contrast due to the shiny pads, so small, thin traces can be very dark. I have tricks. I have ways of getting around that, sir. 15 years working in pre-press doing scanning of all different sorts has taught me lots and lots of tricks of the trade. So I am intending to scan them in a way that doesn't make them come out dark. Sharing the sprint layout on screen. No, and there's a very, very good reason for that. And I blame you entirely for this, Kai. I am streaming on a G3. Mentioned that, an old G3. Anyhow, I am streaming on a Mac Mini running OS X Mojave, and Sprint does not run on that. So I have no... Sprint is a Windows application, and I don't have any installation of Windows on this computer, so there is no way of me sharing it. If you want to send me a pic or something like that, I can share a pic on screen, like an individual still image. But anyhow, this is something that kind of just alerted me to today. And what we're going to look at here is UK4. This is one of the RAM chips here. RAM chips. And it's UK4, because, you know, there aren't enough UKs in the world, so let's have 4 of them. And if we go right down here, we'll see, here's a little pad. It's making its way via a little trace to a wee little there. However, if we get the reproduction board, we can see that this little pad here is all on his lonesome. He is not going to the little trace. And that, my friends, is the problem. Well, it's one of them anyway. So, it is time for Kai to... okay, so now, before I am obviously going to fix this problem, but is there anything else I need to know, Kai? Because I'm going to do this now. I'm going to fix this little pin thingy. Is there something else I need to be fixing as well? Look, you know, the irony is that when Kai sent me 5 of these boards, I was like, oh my goodness, that's so incredibly generous. There was no need to send me 5 boards. Oh my God, I'm so glad I have 5 of them. I basically have the one that I built. I have the one that I experiment with for like things like with the Dremel for cutting up and injecting voltage to try and find shorts and stuff. So there's that one there. Then I need one clean one that I can check, you know, so for keeping an eye on things. And then I keep one up in the house so that I can check things while I'm up there. So in particular, if I'm using Sprint or if I have an idea or something like that. So I have one up in the house, one clean one up in the house, one clean one down here, one for messing with, one for building, and then the last one's for wall art. So, yeah. Yeah, all right. So, okay, all right, okay, all right. All right, well, let's go, let's fix this. We know this needs to be fixed anyway, so let's fix it. So, get up onto the old UK4. Now, because there is a chip sitting on it, oh, you know what? I can probably do this without removing the chip. I was thinking to myself, I'm going to need to remove that chair. But I don't think I need to. I think I can even poke a hole from here. Look at that. Hole poked. Boom. Well, that's good. So, I'm going to need to get myself my scalpel. Scalpel. Hello, scalpel. Another little shout out. I like to give little shout outs when I'm shouting out. Shout out to Steve, who is travelling at the moment. He's got some very interesting things coming our way, but I cannot give anything away. Just they're secrets. But he has got some really cool stuff happening soon, so that's great. What else? I also want to say a shout out to Canadian Computer Collector, to Dan, who released his new video today. And I just wanted to mention that I really enjoyed it, and I'm very pleased that he brought the burps back. In last week's video, there were no burps. So he brought some nice big chunky burps into his live stream today. Sorry, not live stream, into his video that he released today. So I'm very pleased. Now, I'm not pleased that he was working on, I think it was an Atari, but beggars can't be choosers, can they? So I'm just exposing a little bit of copper here, so when I put my little bodge wire in, the solder has something to stick to. Now, can I, and I'll repeat that, can I, where'd it go, where'd it go, where'd it go, where'd it go, where, there. Can I get a wire to go right through to the other side? Do you know how annoying it is, how difficult it is to try and find the other side of the via on a board? It's an absolute friggin' nightmare. I think that's it there. Pretty sure. Just above the screen printing for R18. I'm wearing gloves today because the last few times I've been doing live streams, my hands have been getting sticky. So sticky. And I don't like it. Alright. I'm just going to... Oops. Check Discord for images. Cool. Cool. Loading up Discord now. Boop, boop, a doop, a doop, a boop, a doop, a boop, a doop. Oh, I can hear the little mini fan giving a good old spin. Oh, don't tell me. Oh, no. No. Oh, that's all right. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I was freaked out there for a minute. Oh, look at these. Okay. Let me do a bit of this. And let me do a bit of that. And then, there we go. Okay. Oh, come on. What are we doing? What? Oh, front things. There we go. Right, so we're looking at some images here. Let me see if I can load them all. Is there any particular order I should be showing them in, Kai? Did you want me to start from the first one you sent to the last one? If that is the case, I will make that happen. Boom. Oh, crap sticks. Let me do this properly. I'm forgetting the answers. Okay. So, close. Right. First one. Second one. This is remarkably more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Just fiddly, just tedious, you know, not actually really troublesome, but just tedious. All right, there we go. So let's start at the beginning, and then we'll move along. So let me see if I can just get a little bit of a sharey, screeny situation going on here. Should I make a whole new view for that? What do you reckon? I think I might. Let's go plus. Oh, hello. Let's call this screen. That's not how you spell screen, but it will do. And then for this one, I'm going to go to, was it that one? Share screen. Be good if I could just share the, share just a bit of it. Oh, bugger that. I know what to do. I know what to do. It's all good. I know what to do. Whew, gee. I hope this is worth it, Kai. Okay, let's go to that. 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 And that. There we go. Right. And then I'll go to this one here. I'll go to that one there. It's so long since I've done any layouts on this thing, I've forgotten how to do it. Oh, wow. Okay. For another day. Can you just describe it to me? Okay. Jay, thank you for joining. Won't be here for this one. We wanted to say howdy. Well, thank you very much. I feel the picture of the busy. Mental rashness. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so one of the biggest problems I have here at the moment is I do have the ability to just like add an image to the screen, but I can't remember how to do it. I set all this stuff up a while ago, and I'm just making a mess of it. So let's see if we can continue with this last little repair, and then we'll test this. I still think it's not going to work, and I'll tell you why I don't think it's going to work. Is because I do actually think I've broken something. I think something on this board has become damaged in the testing that I've done. And for that reason, I suspect that even once I find all of the problems and resolve them and sort them out and all those sorts of things, I think it will still not work. And I am going to have to find out which of those components is broken. Oops, crap. Just bear with me one moment. A message just came through, which has made me a little bit curious. Okay, excellent. That's good. Kai is going to upload them, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Kai admin rights if I haven't already. And oh, he already has admin rights, so you can send a you can post a link. So I just dropped a little piece of wire, so I'm going to grab another one because I cannot be bothered trying to find it for something as simple as a little piece of wire like this. This one I will try not to drop as easily as I did the last one. So this is going to feed through this little hole here. Hopefully, get myself a pair of tweezers. I'm actually doing stuff. I'm going to do stuff now instead of just yapping. Quit your yapping. Okay, we are travelling through the hole. We can feed him up through here now. I'll solder him down on this side. This is how I would do like a trace repair if something were damaged, but it is not damaged. It is just not right. There we go. Oh crap, I've got the most ginormous soldering tip on this one because I've been doing some large-scale solder wicking in prepping that blank classic board. So let's get this happening now. All right, folks, we are going to continue now with well, we're going to start now. This is the first time I've actually used a soldering iron in this live stream. Sorry it took me so long. A lot to get through, a lot to discuss. Many, many things. There we go. Look at that. So pretty. Where's the tweezers? Really need to do this around this way. There we go. Okay, he's looking nice and out of focus. That one. And then we do this one. And this one needs to travel to this pin here. So I am going to plonk him down like that. I might even just cut this now because I know I've mentioned this on my live streams before, but there are a lot of people just get so upset with me when I use my scalpel. Like, you're going to break things. And I say, trust me. I'm a professional. Okay. Whoopsie. Get my solder. Come on, get in there. I don't really have the right tip for this. You know what I should be using? I should be using Jay's favourite tip, my conical. One bent conical tip coming up. Alright guys, if this works, I'll do another run of boards to test again. I've also been... Well, you think I'm going to build another one of these? I probably would, you know. Having said that, I mean, after all these repairs that I've been doing on this is going to look pretty good. You won't know these repairs, many of them. You won't see them because I've made them all little. So, just make sure that I haven't accidentally created a bridge between those two pins. I will check that now with my beepity beep beep machine. Right. So, testing those, we're all good. Now what we should see is, if I put my little probe point on that there, my little probe there, if I tap this pin on each one of them, they should all be joined. And they are. What a glorious time. Right, so there is one more repair. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fire it up and we're going to test it. Unless Kai has any objections and wants me to check something before I fire it up and test it, I am going to fire it up and test it. These are my my latest delivery of boards for making the SCSI to SD version 4.1 PowerBook edition. I build these because people like to put them in their PowerBooks, myself included. Adam McGee, hello, thank you for joining. Okay, all right. What's going on with the chickens? Some chaos going on with the chickens out there by the sound of it. I'm just going to move this piece of sticky tape. Let's get the board. This board's a little bit, this analog board on this one's a little bit funny, but it still will power up a logic board, so if it's working, we'll be fine. But I'm sure I don't need to tell you, I don't think it's going to work. Boom. Okay. This microphone can be moved. He's doing nothing. Right, so I'm going to connect up some power here. Lots of exposed power here. Do not try this at home. This is very dangerous. And okay, I'm now hooked to it. Okay, right. Okay, we ready? Ready? Okay. Right. Okay. 3, 2, 1. This is what I've come to expect. Makes a little popping sound when I switch it on, and then pretty much nothing. But as I mentioned, the one thing that really gives me pause is the fact that it did make a noise and then it stopped making a noise, and that really does indicate to me that something was working and is now not working. But I don't know what it is. Now there are two ways of looking at it. Now I can see I've got a what do you call those things? Infrared camera here somewhere, and I can look at this board through infrared, and I can go, is the clock running? I haven't got my oscilloscope down here. I've got this one. This might work. No, I don't even know where the leads are for this. So my oscilloscope is up in the house. I mean, I could go get it. Oscilloscope, unless there is another way. If I can just test it with the old multimeter, I'll test it. But so anyhow, what I was just mentioning was that I've got this infrared camera, and one of the things that I can do is I can look at the board and I can see what's getting warm and what's not. Now, some things might get warm that aren't meant to get warm, and some things might be cold that are meant to be warm. But it's then hard to know which is which. But I am going to try and show a little picky of this, just so that people can see how pretty it is. Everyone loves the infrared. How much pressure can you apply when doing things like drag soldering before there will be damage to the board? You can apply quite a lot to the board, I can tell you that for sure. The board is probably not the weak point when you drag soldering. When you're drag soldering, the weak point is probably more related to the pins of the component. Like for instance, if you were doing something with very thin pins, when you drag soldering, you run the risk of bending those pins as you're dragging. Okay, let me just change views here. But yeah, the boards themselves can usually take quite a beating. here we have my infrared camera being all infrared-y. Let's see if I can actually show this. And it's going to be out of focus and whatnot and things. But, oh, my great big fat hand's in the way. That way, that way. There we go. So we can actually see there are a few things here glowing in the yellowness. That is telling me that those are items that are getting some warmth. So one of the things that we can see is getting some warmth is the CPU. That there is the CPU, that big thing that's glowing the most there. That's the CPU getting warm. What else have we got? We've got a couple little chips down here getting warm. We've got the PAL chip getting warm by the looks of it. Not hot, but warm. What else? There's something over here getting warm. I think it's like the SCC or something like that. He might be getting upset because there are no serial ports plugged in. So he's like, I have no purpose. Okay. So anyhow, that is more just for a little bit of fun demonstration than anything. There's a very little practical application with that. Got another ROM. They're very fragile. It's not kind of the one thing that I've actually I'm running short on, but I do have one. But I don't want to break another one. Where are we? Working board. Here we go. Here's a working board with a ROM. Okay, working board with a ROM. Let's check and see. We're going to whip this ROM out. We're going to swap it over this one. And then I am going to then have to try and get my friend Steve from Mac84 to send me a few replacement ROMs, because I still haven't gone and bought myself a ROM programmer. He bought himself one, and he has all the blank ROMs as well, blank ROM chips. So I can say, Steve, may I please have a ROM? And he can make me one and send it to me. Good, known good, unknown. Unknown. On a normal classic board, there are 8 different ways you can stick this ROM chip on. I've made this board so that there are now only 2 ways you can put it on. Sorry, 4 different ways you can put it on, not 8. I'm good with the mathematics. All right. All right, phone goes back in the pocket. Right. How will the display show without a ROM installed? That's a good question. I have no idea. I expect it probably wouldn't do anything at all. When these classics are starting up, they kind of have like 4 stages. The first stage is just a grey screen. The second stage is you get the little corners rounded and a cursor appears. Then the third stage is obviously searching for a disk, so a flashing question mark or whatever. And then of course the fourth is finding a disk and loading an operating system. So yeah, I'd be happy to see any of those at the moment, to be honest. Right, we are going to, yeah, actually, Joe is probably right. You probably would just get a checkerboard, something like that, or lines or something like that. Okay, trying again, this time with a fresh ROM, fresh as a daisy. Let's have a look so you can at least see a little bit of it, even if you can't see the whole screen. Going to switch it on again now, 3, 2, 1. Established it's not the ROM. Fifth step is smoke pouring out. Yeah. So, okay, so that's with a different ROM. So I think we've established that the ROM is not the issue because I'm getting exactly the same behavior. I just wish because in those early tests, in particular the one where I tested it and it went you know, brrr, pop, 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 pop. Because that was a sound coming out of the speaker. That wasn't like a sound coming from the power supply or something. That was an actual, you know, audio coming from the speaker. It was going brrr, pop, 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 pop. And it's never done that again. I just wish, at that time that I tested it, there were lots, at that stage probably 9, 10 traces that were meant to be going somewhere that weren't going somewhere. And so the fear is that somewhere on there that caused a ruckus, caused a reckoning. Switch him around, putting him back on. I haven't done one single piece of work so far. I have now 51 minutes into this live stream, and this was meant to be repairing all my problem boards, and I haven't touched one of them yet. But that just gives you an idea of how much I like actually working on this particular project. Without viewing what the reset and clock lines are doing, it's going to be hard to diagnose. It could be you barbecued the sound chip. That was actually one of my first thoughts, and I swapped sound chips, and it's the same with a different sound chip. So I don't think it is the sound chip. I could have swapped it with an already dead sound chip because I did raid it off another board. But I would be surprised if I you know, both sound chips were gone. But maybe I should go and get my oscilloscope. What do people think about that? Can I have a show of hands for going and getting the oscilloscope and seeing if we can test a few things here while we've got Kai on board? What do you reckon? Show of hands? Show of hands, anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? I watched A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2 last night. I don't know if anyone's seen those films. Yeah. I had already seen A Quiet Place, and I started watching A Quiet Place 2, and there was a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, what? It kind of references the first movie rather a lot. Okay, I've got a show of hands. I'm going to go get the oscilloscope. It's in the house. I have no idea where I'm going to put it. None whatsoever. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out because we're intelligent people. As I'm demonstrating here. So excuse me everyone, just remember that this music sometimes comes a little bit louder than my voice. So maybe turn your volumes down a little smidge so that you don't get blown away by the old back soon. Back soon. Hello, friends. Oscilloscope. Now, for anyone who, there are obviously plenty of people in this live stream who are totally familiar with oscilloscopes and what they do and what they're for and all that sort of stuff. But if you are someone who is not sure what an oscilloscope is, does, whatever, probably the simplest way to describe one that I would use, the method I would use for describing one, if you've ever used a multimeter before, and you've gone in and tested something and you've gone, oh, I'm getting 3 volts here. Great. What an oscilloscope does, it's effectively like a multimeter, so it measures things. But what it does is, rather than just giving you that result of 3 volts, it gives you a result along a timeline. So it might be 3 volts now, but in half a second's time it's 1 volt. And then it's back up to 3 volts, and then it's back down to 1 volt. And rather than, if you were using a multimeter, just seeing the numbers go, what you can do is you can connect it up to here, and you can actually see those results on a timeline, and you get a line appearing on the screen there. And what that does is that actually tells you a hell of a lot, because if you see that voltage changing in, say, a nice sort of like waveform or something like that, that can tell you a lot about that signal and what's generating and all that sort of stuff. If you see things that are appearing sporadically, they pulsing with no apparent sort of regularity about them, they might be sort of like some sort of data signal that's changing and stuff like that, or they might be a video output where you've got things obviously changing all the time. So anyhow, that's essentially what an oscilloscope is. It is something that gives you a reading, but rather than just giving you a one-off reading, it gives you a reading along a timeline. So anyhow, the knowledge I have of oscilloscopes, you can fit on the head of a pin, and I mean that most sincerely. I need to find a PowerPoint. I watched a few tutorial videos on how to use them, and that's how I sort of learned what I learned. As daunting as they may appear at times, with all those little buttons and things like that, at their simplest level, they're fairly straightforward to use. It's most of the time, it's just a matter of making sure that the display is kind of configured or calibrated to show you the results so that you can actually see them. Because you can set them up so that they're showing you a particular range, both in the reading and the time frame. And if your time frame is kind of out, or if your reading is out, you'll be looking at nothing. So anyhow, there we go. I still haven't really answered the question of where I'm going to put this, because I've got to put the computer up here. I'm going to have to make myself some space. So I haven't been really paying attention to the chat, so I'm going to have a look at this. Could you have this machine and a working machine side by side and do a direct comparison at each point? Yes, you could. It'll probably take a long time, but yes, you could. That won't necessarily tell you if a particular component has failed. I mean, you could if it's on, but if like for instance, if you're finding things like shorts to ground, you can do that with just, with a multimeter, then just measuring certain points and going, when I'm measuring this one on this board, I'm getting some resistance. When I'm measuring on this board, I'm getting no resistance, which means that it's just shorting to ground somewhere. But when it comes to actually, if there's a component that's failed on the thing, you probably need to have it on. Okay, all right, there's a lot of chat here. There's a lot of chat. So I am going to be entirely in Kai's hands during this testing phase. I'm going to say, hey Kai, what do you want me to test first? And he's going to say, hey, how about you put the pin here, and then we'll see what happens. And I'll say, no worries, Kai, I'm going to do that now. Oopsie. Let's get rid of all my fancy toys. Oops, I didn't put that back in the container. And this is something I lose all the time. So it has to go back in the container. Ooh. Yeah, with them both running, yes. So yes, I mean, you could do that. You could definitely do that. Right. So, I wonder if there's a way, if I tip this up and we can do a top view, whether I can make this at least partially entertaining. This is is it Siglant? Siglant? Is the G silent? Silent? I don't know. Whee! This is one that has 2 probes. 2. So you can compare things. One of the ways you can always... didn't like... does it not like... Oh, no, here we go. One of the things you can do with these for testing is you can use... these things have they automatically generate a wave. So I can connect this. This is how you kind of test if they're working. I can connect this up to the wave generator, like that. And then I can just press auto setup. I think it's auto setup. And there we go. It will actually show me, this is actually generating this signal, and this is now showing me the signal. And so I can view this, whoops, where is it? This one here allows me to alter the, no, not that one. This one. This one allows me to alter the timeline. So I can look at these pulses, look at a lot more of them, or a lot less of them, wider out. And then this one here gives me the ability to move it up and down. And this one gives me the ability to change the height. So there we go. But one of the beauties of these new magic automated ones is you can just press this auto setup. It looks at the signal that's coming in, and then it just tries to give you the best view of looking at what you're looking at. So, right. All right. So on the 6, okay. All right. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Let me read this. All available from breakers. Pin 15. That's reset. Then pin 20. That's clock. On the 68K itself. Okay. Let's do that then. That's going to be. Isn't that going to be fun? This is exciting. Right. This is going to be so difficult from a space perspective. I am actually planning to upgrade my workshop here and have a much bigger desk in the future, but we're not there yet. Let's pile some boards up here, shall we? So some of the computers I was going to revisit today, and I may still, day is not over yet, were the Spaghetti Mac 2. Does anyone remember the Spaghetti Mac 2? Did anyone watch those? And I also had my SE30 that I got from, oh, where was it from? I can't remember. All right, so if I can get him over there, and if I can get the board here, we might just have it. We're almost there, except you can't see that. That sucks. It's too much glare. There we go. All right. So, talk about bodge job, man. This is terrible. All right. So, what I might have to do is just temporarily. Actually, that's fine. It's fine. That's fine. Alrighty. Okay. Let me just disconnect that from the Who's-a-Fudge. Oopsie. There we go. So, we want to do little. These have a little clip on the end. Clippy, clippy, clippy. But you can just take that off so that it's a probe point instead. And then I'll need to get my glasses on, and then we need to power this up, and then, is that going to reach? Not really, almost. Okay, so, here is the CPU. Pin 1 is there, right there. And he has asked me to check all right. Okay, powered on. Now I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to have a look at Kai's instructions. And, okay, on the 68K itself, pin 15 and pin 20. All right, God, I'm going to have to count these out. That's going to suck. Okay, let's connect this up to a ground, which I think should be there. Bernie's back. I'm going to connect it to a ground somewhere. All my grounds are... I normally just connect it to some of the connectors, but I don't have any connectors on this. Are you there? Are you connected? Right, so pin 15. It goes in a clockwise direction, doesn't it? Yes. Yeah, okay, so sure it'll tell me if I'm wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Crap. 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, he's living right in the middle there. Okay. That's pin 15. That definitely looks like it's got some sort of pulse coming in. So that's the clock. No, pin 15. What was pin 15? That's reset. Okay. So does that mean that it's continually trying to reset? Because that sort of seems like he's going up and down. But I could be wrong. That is... I don't know. Tell me what we can read into that. And then the other one I wanted to check was pin 20. So that was 15, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That looks dead as. Yeah, that's nothing. That's just noise. I just got to make sure I'm going in the right direction, clockwise direction, because I could be going the wrong way. (20) reset, 15 is clock. Okay, so 15 looked okay. Oh, okay. So 15. So yeah, let me just go and check that again. So he said, is it 15 is clock, 20 is reset. So, well, if reset is down, then that's all good. So, all right, let's just try this again. And we'll go 15. I should even remember where that is, because I made a little mark on it. And let's have a look. Frequency 7.8454545. Yes, so we're good. Okay, so that means the clock is good. So, I mean, you know, within reason, it's flickering between 7.82 and 7.86. But yeah, that is essentially 7.83. So I'm happy with that. And then the reset, I was getting nothing. That's probably what we want. What if I press the reset button? Will I get something? Will I get a little flicker? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 320. I'm not seeing anything in that one. Oopsie. Oh, that's an interesting one. How cool's that? I want to look at that. That's pin 21. Woo, look at that. Things happening on pin 21. Pin 21's exciting. So the clock is running. So we do know the clock is running. So that's a good sign. I consider that a good sign. Sent me a link. Sent me a link. Oh, look at that. It's groovy. That's a nice pick to have. Okay, so, all right, we know the clock is running. So there we go. We have one positive step going on there. I consider that a win for all humanity. Pin 21 is VMA. Viable... no, brain's not fast enough. Someone else can come up with what VMA might stand for in our alternative universe. 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21. Okay, yeah. So that's what we were looking at. We were looking at VMA. That was what the pin 21 is. Okay, so valid memory address. What do we do now? I am happy to test something else if there is something you would like me to test, to see if something else might be dead or unhappy, or, as I say, getting some nice warmth from the CPU. It's not hot, but we're definitely getting some warmth from that. We're getting a little bit of warmth from the old BBU, Bob's Big Underpants. I don't know. Okay, the ones on the bottom of the BBU to check, pin 37, pin 40. Fluff. It's going to take me so long to find those. One, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. 11 pins. Oh man, I need the Bowmark thing because that actually it shows you what the numbers are at each side. So just bear with me a second while I bring up some technical diagrams. Okay, where are we? Mac technical files. I have a little folder here called Mac technical files. 68K. Where are we? 68K schematics. Bowmark. Macintosh Classic. Classic. Today we'll be looking at an absolute classic. So let's look up Bob's Country Bunker. Where is it? Here's U14. Is that right? U14. U14, there we go. BBU, part of U14. Because often on these, when they have U14 on, sorry, excuse my, there we go. I think we're here. Yeah, U14. All right. So what they have on the Bowmark schematics is they show a little drawing of the chip and they tell you what the number is for the start and finish on each side. So for example, what we're now going to do is I'm going to go across here to, all right, so 37 and pin 40. All right, so we're going to do 37 and pin 40 and I can tell you that they are, it starts at 33 on that side. 37 and 40, you said, wasn't it? So that's one. So 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. And we are reading, okay, that's the clock there. That's 7.8432. 37, 38, 39, 40. And that one there, we're getting 3 point, it flicks around a little bit, but we're essentially getting 3.48 thereabouts. It's jumping up now, 3.69, something like that. So we're getting stuff. So isn't this fun? Are we all having fun? Now we just move on here. So check pin 41, which is address strobe. Pin 59 is reset as well. So pin 41, we were on 40. Am I still on 40? Pin 41. So I think I'm in pin 41. Okay, that looks just like it's noise. It says frequency 3.6 or something like that. But, I mean, look at it. It's just messy. I don't know. That doesn't look right. Read pin 59. Okay, check pin 41, which is address strobe. Okay. Read pin 41, which is address strobe. I don't know if that was pin 49 that I was giving you before. I don't know if that was what you were expecting. But it did seem a little bit on the messy side. But anyhow, let me just go to a little picture again to make sure I think it started from 33. Let me just check that again. Yep, 33, that's correct. I need a bigger screen. I really need a bigger screen. Okay, so 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. That was what you want to hear. So that was the 41 address strobe thingy. As you can see, it's kind of just like a bit of a messy mishmash of 41, 34, okay, 33, 34. I'm going to do 34 now. Okay, 34 Okay, that is pin 34, and it is a mess. Frequency just keeps on changing, so it's going from like virtually down to single digits up to like 53 and stuff like that. It's kind of messy. I don't know if you can read anything into that. And read pin 59. We'll get better at this, don't worry. 54. So 59 you say. 59 you say. Hang on. Crap. 54. Yeah, okay. 59. 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. So that's pin 59. And that is also looking like messy nothingness. But you might read something into that and go, you know what, that is perfect. Again, that's just pulsing up and down and up and down. It's like the frequency is going from like single digits up to like 57, 60 even, I think. It's moving so fast it's hard to tell. But it's just noise, you know? I mean, it's just noise. So I don't really know what to read into it there. Okay, so can you zoom in on that? Oh, okay, pin 59. I can try and zoom in on. You want to? Yeah, okay. Let me try. Hang on, what was it? It was 55. Oh, it was crap. I've forgotten again already. Brain head like sieve. 54. 54, 55, 56, 50, 54, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that's pin 59. Let's try and zoom in on it. Where are you? Where'd he go? Yeah. Come on. Do your thing. Where's it gone? I'm trying to zoom in on it and it's going away. This is one of the problems you encounter when you don't actually know these particularly well. When you are basically just fudging it. I'm trying to zoom in on it, but when I zoom in on it, it runs away from the center. I really don't think this is right. 1 times. See, it's okay. Where are you? I don't know where you are. No, I'm not having any luck zooming in on it. Sorry about that. If it's a solid line and it's a bit noisy, it still means logic level of 1 or 0. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So, put it this way. 55, 4, 6, 7, 8. So this is pin 59. This is our noisy one. So, if I were to zoom into that from a time frame perspective, oops, wrong one. That's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. I'm at the horizontal scale limit there, in terms of the speed. All right, so let's regroup here for a second. It looks like the reset isn't working at all properly. Either there's a bus error somewhere and it's causing it, or the reset circuit is buggered. That is what reset should look like if it's stuck in a reset loop. Okay, so can keeping in mind, just for a second here, Kai, just keeping in mind for a second here that at one stage when I tested it, it did make some noise and then it stopped making a noise and hasn't made a noise since. Is there something that could have got damaged on this that would be impacting that reset? Just a thought. Yeah. At least we know the clock's working. That's something. Definitely made some progress there. And it's so pretty. Do you reckon? This lovely black board. It's very nice. Okay, so anyhow, we may have come to the end of this and we may move on to the next project, but I will defer to Kai. Oh, okay, Kai is doing some stuff, so that's good. So in the meantime, I shall just jump back here, and he's going to look at the sprint. He's going to look at the sprint. I'll disconnect this from the mains power so that I don't accidentally rub on that and then create a short, a different sort of short, a very painful short. All right, so a quick little hello, everyone who is watching. If anyone has jumped on and not said hello, please feel free to say hello and say, just give the old cheerio. What have I done? Oh, did I quit? I think I quit Chrome by accident. Oh no, here it is. I believe I have got somewhere in the vicinity of 40 people watching at the moment, and I would like to thank everyone who's come along and is watching me sort of struggle through this at the moment. I mean, it will be a glorious thing if we do get this working, let's face it. But in the meantime, there is this sort of less than interesting stuff. I will talk about some of these problem jobs that I've had lately. When I just burned myself in my eye and I smell chicken. It's interesting. It always smells like pork to me when people burn themselves, but that's just me. I don't know. Let me just have a look here. Okay, and there we go. All right. So anyhow, as I mentioned to people before, people send me their boards for recapping, and sometimes they send me boards for repair. One of the problems that I've had lately is that I have very limited time to work on these. I can really only work on them on weekends or after hours because my full-time job is quite busy. Well, in lockdown at the moment, it's not as busy as it usually is, but but anyhow, what has been happening is I get a board to work on, and I might recap it or something like that. And I go recap it, fire it up, it doesn't work. Okay, I go and look for a few cursory things. I go and see, okay, the obvious things, because with a lot of these boards that come to me, I do see the same thing happening, and so I can go in and say, okay, is it this, is it that? And I can go and rule out a few things potentially that way. What then happens, I get to the end of it, if I've spent, I don't know, a couple of hours on it or something like that, and I haven't found the problem, I will generally put it into the look at later pile. And the reason I do that is because there might be 10 boards waiting to be worked on, and I like to try and keep the things moving. I like to try and get as many boards in and out as quickly as possible so I don't end up with a massive backlog. I simply don't have the space to store lots of boards. Just going to turn the heater on, I'm a bit cold. So anyhow, there we go. Heater's on and nice and warm. So that in itself is fine. That's the kind of the system I have, and then the idea is that when I have a spare moment, I go back and I look at these boards. Well, the other day I jumped onto my repair tracking software and I thought, let's just see how many problem boards I currently have sitting here. 18 problem boards here at the moment, and I just looked at it and I went, no, that won't do. I cannot have 18 boards backlogged sitting here waiting for me to work on them. So what I am in the process of doing now is working my way through those problem boards to try and get as many of them out. I started working on one the other day. It was an LC 575 that I think is going into a classic for for a Mystic, I think, but I could be wrong. It might have just been the 5. It might have actually just been for a 575. There are a few people out there that still like to keep their 575 board in the 575. And I managed to get that working, so that was great. That was a CUDA or egret chip. They're very fragile. If you are working on a like sort of some of those old computers, I'm not talking to you, Siri. If you're working on a you know, sort of things like the 575 or 475, you know, these that chip is kind of related to ADB, the Apple Desktop Bus. And I think they can sometimes get damaged if people hot plug an ADB cable, because that chip does get damaged quite a bit. So I'm thinking that's probably the cause of it. And if you're in a situation where, let's say someone gives me a Macintosh Color Classic, and I put it in, I connect up the ADB, I press the button to power it on, and it's dead as a doornail, assuming of course it has been recapped. If it's completely dead, it is usually the egret chip or CUDA chip, and that needs to be replaced, and often find them, bang, she just powers up. All right, let's have a look here. I found an issue on the 68K. I hadn't bridged pins 19 and 20. Halt and reset need to be asserted at the same time, and halt was not connected. Try bridging them. Well, that is something I can do. If there is someone who knows how to bridge pins, that's me. You watch, I say that, and then next time I go to do it, it won't do it. Okay, so isn't this good to have someone like Kai here watching while we're doing this stuff? So let's just jump onto the microscope. Be very rewarding if it does work. So here we have, so this is a PLCC chip, and PLCC chips, one of the things about them is that they have a little dot indicating where pin 1 is, and then they travel in a counterclockwise direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 19 and 20. It's these two here. You're gonna just scratch them and scrape them and scrape them and scratch them, just so that I can. Oh, I missed them. God, I'll tell you what. I look away, and then I've actually moved, but I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. So it's all right. Everyone can calm down. I know everyone's freaked out, so everyone can calm down. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. See, okay. So 19 and 20. So we start at 10, and 19 and 20. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19 and 20. So it is these two. These two here. These two, them two there, them's, and I need the scalpel. Things are a bit of a mess here at the moment because because it's my workshop. That's one reason why they're a mess. But the other reason why they're a mess is I've got my oscilloscope taking up a large chunk of desk space at the moment. Now, are we just going to do an ugly bridge? Or are we going to do a fancy wire bridge? I think we'll just do an ugly one. Get some flux. Might need, but would certainly throw a burr and cock up the reset. All right, let's have a look. Just going to. Still got my stupid conical. There we go. That's a nice big fat bridge. How about that? Sorry, I don't mean to body shame bridges, but let's just check and make sure that I have bridged it. Where did I hide my multimeter? That's right, I moved him over here. I need to actually mount my multimeter up high somewhere. Pins 19 and 20. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, pins 19 and 20 are now bridged. We can feel happy with ourselves that we have for once created a bridge that is meant to be there. Right. Well, this is very interesting. I'm learning much today from Kai. Some of it may even stay in my head. Right, back to the top view. The oh so familiar top view. And connect him up to power. And all right, we're ready again, everyone? Ready? Yeah. That's the noise it made before. So, that's the noise it made before. It went pop, 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 pop. So that's the noise it made before, and then after pressing the reset button, it never made it again. So we have made progress. It's now going. So, nothing on the screen. Let me just, I'm going to switch it on again. Okay, and we're going to, okay, now. It's amazing what you can do with computers these days. Is it repeatable? Okay, what are we checking here? What are we checking? What? So the CPU is basically idle and won't execute anything. All right, okay, so hang on. Is it repeatable garbage? Do you want me to check something for garbage? It's very consistent. So did you want me to test something here now, Kai, and get the old oscilloscope onto something and see for something? Yeah, it's repeatable. It's going. Oh, and it stopped. And it started again. Oh, look at that! Now, it may not sound like it, but to me, that's progress. Oh, press reset. I'll press it again. At least we're getting consistency now. I like that. And you know what? We've got a sound effect that we can incorporate into a game or something. Darn, it feels close. Or maybe it's further away, so. All right, well, we know what it does when I press the button. It starts again. So it starts with the grrrk and then. So I press it. It's trying to execute ROM code. I know this ROM is okay because this is taken from a working board that works in this unit here. So CPU is out of halted state, so that's good. That's good. This is good. This is good. I'm going to have to rename this live stream. You realize that. I can't call this working on problem boards. I'm going to have to call it part 3 of building a classic. For anyone who wanted to watch part 3 who didn't watch my stream because they didn't think it was part 3, they'll be very upset with me. They'll be like, why didn't you do it? I wanted to watch that. Just turning down the heat here. It was starting to burn me. I've got this heater in here, which is kind of like all on or all off. But this is a fairly... Is there a pigeon in here? Excuse me a second while I kiss the sky. Just need to make sure. Oh, crap and things. Just sounded like there was a pigeon in here. They get themselves into some weird spots. This is where I keep my chicken food, and so sometimes the pigeons come in here to see if they can get some. Get some. Excuse me. Oh, hello. I need to do this. Ron, thank you very much for the super chat. I do appreciate it. And thank you very much for joining. Now, you've missed a lot. So sit tight. I'll explain everything that's happened in the last hour and a half. God, we're an hour and a half already. Okay, so we are working on Kai's, what do you call it? Reloaded Macintosh Classic. And we're discovering lots of joyous things. And we have gone from nothing to brrr. So we are considering that progress because I'm a very positive thinker. All right, now we've got the old scopy dope out, so let's jump to the top view here, which is going to make your super chat disappear. So I apologize, Ron, but that's just the way this silly software works. So once again, thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Move. There. Okay, top view. All right, so what are we testing now? We're testing something. Check the pins on the 74257s. They're these guys here. They're ones there. Those two. See them? See what they look like. Okay, all right. Any pin in particular? The logic levels should be consistent and not wonky. Ooh, I like the look of consistent logic. Right. Freaks me out when that happens now. That's interesting. That actually looks kind of delicious, doesn't it? What do you reckon? Looks pretty nice to me. Yeah, whoopsie. So, gotta put my glasses on. Maybe the issue. Okay, cool. So, oh God, don't tell me. I can never remember the pin numbering. I'm just stabbing at pins here, by the way. Indiscriminately stabbing at pins. Sneak up with the last little burp. The waveform looks fine. Get to the chopper. Now, I'm obviously more than happy to change these 74F257s if you want. If you think that there's a potential benefit in us doing that. Open to suggestions. That is a buggered signal you just hit upon. Oh, was it? So do you think I should get rid of the old 74F257s and put some different ones on there? Swap them for known good. Okay. Well, I'm not sure I can promise you swapping them for known good, but I can certainly swap them for other ones. I don't want to take them off one of my good boards. I probably should. I probably shouldn't be cheap about it, shouldn't I? I do have quite a few spare Classic and Classic 2 boards. I have people often say, oh, can I have them, please? Here we go. Take them from this one. I've already rated something off this one. I already rated a voltage regulator, so this is a known good board. You know how I know? Because I've got a little note just here. It says here, just needs ROM. There we go. Okay, just needs ROM. Now, it now needs a new voltage regulator as well, because I rated that by accident. But anyhow, we're now going to take these little little guys off, and we're going to hope that that might give us some success. Right. I might just heat shield this because, well, to be quite frank, why wreck this board when it's okay? Oh, hello, here comes Super Chat. Eric. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for the 0.99. I do appreciate it. All amounts of Super Chats are appreciated. There is nothing too small or too large you can give. It is always appreciated. It is not required, but it is always appreciated. You had a lovely input, but the output was pure garbage. Jeez, I'm glad Kai's watching this. You know, I should do this really slow to add the suspense, you know, because we feel like we're getting close here. But I won't do that. That would just be mean. This is my adhesive aluminum, also known as aluminium if you're from this part of the world. And I'm just using it as a heat shield. Since I discovered this adhesive aluminum, I've been very happy with it. I need to try and find a different source for them, because at the moment my only source was on eBay, and I do like to actually put links to Amazon stuff in my live streams, in my little description. Amazon affiliate links. For those who aren't aware of what an Amazon affiliate link is, it just means that if someone clicks on a link in the description to buy something, I get a small commission. It doesn't make the product any more expensive for you. It just means that I get a small commission. And so I will always say with that, it is always appreciated. If you do see something there that you like and want to buy, click on the link, buy it from Amazon, and I will get that little commission. And the commission that I get, I basically spend on stuff for the channel, for what I'm doing here, this sort of stuff that I'm doing and things. Oh, look at this. I've got a £5. I also skeptical of might be damaged. The LS245s. Now the 245s, they're the ones to the right of the ROM, aren't they? They're the bigger ones. Yeah, that's an U11, UI11 and UJ1 by the look of it. All right, well, let's get these off. We'll give it a try, and then I'm quite happy to whip those off as well because, well, to be quite frank, I just love removing things. Now, I don't know if the person who is watching this, who asked the question before about drag soldering. I am going to drag solder these now, so if you are still watching, I will happily demonstrate a little bit of drag soldering for you. That smells like sweat. I don't know why. One of the plastics or something. There are some plastics that do smell like armpits for some reason. Has anyone ever smelt a G3 iBook? One of those white G3 iBooks? They didn't smell when you bought them, but they sure smell now. The keyboards basically smell like armpits. They smell like dirty gym sweat. I don't know why. It must be the plastics they use. Right. Got to keep an eye on the chat here. Over through the code in the ROM is attempting to execute, but for some reason nothing can be loaded into RAM due to buggered multiplexer bus transceivers. Okay, I love your theory. It's the best working theory I've heard so far. Right. Okay, so I'm going to add a modicum of flux. We generally measure the amounts of flux that we put on the board in Rossmans. And that is about, it's probably about a quarter of a Rossman, that. 200 micro Rossmans. Okay, put those there. Oops. Oh, I think I got the heater to the point that it was almost out and just letting gas into the room, and then the next thing you know, I'll be passing out. So, plonk those down. Incidentally, all these things here, it's stupid for me to be kind of stingy with these and pulling them off other boards and stuff like that. All of these components you can still buy now, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you could certainly, I don't know if you can still buy them necessarily at, you know, sort of like, what do you call them, Mouser or something like that, but you'd certainly be able to get them from a UT source, these sorts of multiplexes and things, and hex inverters and things. I say all these fancy words like I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so whenever I'm doing a little bit of soldering like this, surface mount, one little pin, two little pins, I sort of just tack it in place and then do a little bit of drag solder. There's still a fair bit of solder on my iron here, so I really didn't need to add any there. Yeah, look at that. Hardly added any at all. There's one, and here we come for two. Do-do-do. 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 Just a little bit more extra solder there. There we go. They look happily soldered into position. Move on. Hello, welcome to the stream. Garth, did I say hello to you? If I didn't, I apologise, and I say it now. Hello. Okay, now let me hide that. There we go. All right, so thanks again for the super chat, Kai, amongst all the other things that you have done. I am now going to test this. If we are still not happy, I will then try replacing the multiplexes. It was the multiplexes, wasn't it? That was the fancy word we were using for those, I think. The abbreviation of multiplexer, or multiplexing, is MUX. How about that? MUX. That's today's word, MUX. Right. So, we've got that there. We're going to give it a whirl, give it another whirl, give it a whirl, give it a whirl with our new little ones. And as I say, if it still doesn't work, we're then going to try those other components that Kai thought might also be buggered. So, plugging in. Put this here, just like that. There we go, and 3, 2, 1. Now this is interesting. This time I didn't get any of the noises. So that's a curious one. So we've actually gone, well, I won't call it backwards. We've gone somewhere, but we're not getting the. So let's go in and check the signals on these little thingies. See if we've got anything new happening. Definitely got nothing on the screen, so yeah. Right, let's try. Ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, that's pretty as well. That's kind of noisy. But I don't know if that's meant to be. Ooh, look at that. That actually has structure, so that's not noisy. Okay, I don't know if that's, again, that sort of looks like it has structure. So, whoa, Kai's just said whoa. Okay, so what are we on here? I can never remember the ordering of pin numbers on these things. Is that pin 4, I think? That's got structure. Oh, that's an interesting thing. Got a little mountain in there. Okay, so what pin is that? And that one. Okay, how about I'll tell you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do something here for the benefit of all of us. Oh, shit. We're back to this again. Just going to switch them off. Back to this again. Is it possible that I have just fried another LF257? So let me just check something here. Wait me a second. All right. So yes, I was going the right way. All right. So I did it correctly. I was just checking to make sure I was giving you the right pin numbers and everything. All right. So I'm getting back here, and we're going to do it. I'm going to actually tell you which pin we're doing as we're doing it. How about that? Okay. So I am currently testing UE3 7F257. This is pin. Oh, I've got to turn it on. How about I turn it on? Okay, that's pin 1. We're back to burping. That is pin 2. That is what pin 2 looks like. I think it looks different to what it did before, but never mind. Beep. Oops. Oopsie. Hang on. That's pin 2. Pin 2 changed. You changed, man. Okay, so that's pin 2 when it's in this state. Okay, so that's pin 2, right? Okay, everyone, we're all happy with pin 2. Now keep in mind, it's not doing the burping at the moment. I suspect that will change once the burping starts. And it'll do it. It'll burp when I least expect it. I'll be just sitting here and it'll go burp, and then it'll freak me out. Okay, so pin 2. Pin 3. That was the one where I was saying it's like, it has structure, but it's interesting. So that's pin 3. So everyone paying attention to that one? Pin 3. Pin 4. Pin 3 is whacked. That's pin 4. That's pretty messy. That's pin 5. That's all nice. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pin 6. That's pin 6. It's pretty nifty. It's pin 7. That's a mess. That's pin 7. That's pin 8. Is a line. Might be just volts or something. Oh no, that's just noise. So there's nothing on pin 8. All right. Pin. Okay, so let's go to pin 9. Working our way around. Around on the other side now. So pin 9 is on the other side. There's pin 9. Pin 10. But 10 looks good. We like look at pin 10. So that's pin 10. Pin 11. Okay, we've got our mentalness again, 11. Pin 12. Mentalness again. Pin 13, this is good. Pin 13 looks good. Pin 14, oopsie. Pin 14. Ooh, there's things going on in pin 14. Whoops. It's not going to be able to, there we go. Pin 14, hang on. Okay, there's pin 14. 15. That's pin 15. That again, that looks like it's got structure. So, and pin 16. Pin 16, I suspect, is going to be noise, like 8 was. Yeah, nothing from pin 16. Okay, so what do we read into that, sir, kind sir? Oh, geez, I'll tell you what we read into it. I've got oscilloscope cramp. Ouch. Yeah, 16. I thought so. So 16 being VCC, well, that's not going to do anything. Let me grab the data sheet. Oh, mate, I tell you what. It fills me with joy when I hear someone say, let me grab the data sheet. Saves me from having to grab it. Okay, so as I was mentioning before, while Kai is doing a little bit of research here, I was working through my I was looking at my sort of 18 boards. Yeah, that's right. I was explaining the CUDA or egret chip on the computers, like things like the LC475 and the 575 and the Color Classic and those sorts of boards, 520, 550. All of them have a little CUDA egret chip on them. When I don't have things all over the table, I'll be able to show them to you. Oh, look, Ron Super Chat's back. So I'll be able to show you what they look like. And so they're generally, if you've got a completely and totally dead computer and you've recapped it, and so you know the caps are good, that egret can sometimes be the cause of it being sort of completely dead. And that was the instance on the 575 that I just fixed and sent out a little while ago. I must actually remember to send him an invoice. What else? I have quite a few boards that have been sent to me that have been battery damaged or trace rot, long-term corrosion, that sort of thing. And so there was the one that was sent to me a while ago, which I did a live stream on, and it was the Spaghetti Mac 2. So it was a Mac 2 that someone sent me, and someone had attempted some trace repair. Now, it's terrible of me to say attempted because it makes it sound like they didn't actually achieve what they were doing. I think the trace repair did actually work, but the computer still didn't work. Now, what I found with that was they had great big long trace repairs, and it's not the way I like to do my repairs. I like mine to be, tidy and discreet. And so I replaced, so I took all of their trace repairs off and I did my own, but it's still not working. So I need to revisit that board and have a look over it, see if I can find any trace breaks. It's really common for those to end up with trace breaks on them from age. One of the things that does actually happen with those Mac 2s have hardwired, the early ones had hardwired batteries, Vata batteries that actually were axial and soldered onto the board. 2 of them, 3.6 volt Vata batteries. Now, what that actually means is when the computer is not being used, and let's just say you put it in a cupboard somewhere or put it in a shed or whatever, that battery is keeping the computer clock alive ultimately. And there is some current, very small amount of current running through some of these traces permanently. And what I have found happens is that current, I think, is producing some sort of, electronic corrosion sort of thing. Because the electricity flowing through things can actually end up creating, corrosion. And so very specific traces on Mac 2s get rot on them. They're in the same place, and I can show you where they are, and they're part of the startup circuit. And it's basically because they've always got power connected to them with those old batteries, and that, I think, just encourages the corrosion. So that when they get stored in an area where there's a little bit of moisture or something like that, all those traces get damaged. And as I say, very specific ones. I mean, I can pretty much, if someone sends me a Mac 2 tomorrow, I can pretty much tell them where I'm going to see corrosion. I can tell them exactly where it's going to be without even looking at the board. Actually, it's interesting, Adam McGee, that's very, very true. Those those actual batteries, without a doubt, seem to hold power longer than anything else I've ever seen. I pulled an axial battery off a Macintosh SE in one of my earlier live streams, and it still had 3.4 volts, I think it was. This is a 3.6 volt battery. 30 plus years later, still 3.4 volts. Incredible. Right, can you check R35 is connected both sides? That feeds the RAM from pin 4. I'm going to check that right now. Gonna check R35. Oopsie. Off you go. Oh, there we go. All right, R35 is going to be on this side of the board, which you can't see because you're looking at my ugly face. You are not looking at the microscope or the top view. There we go, microscope view. So, when it comes to trying to find particular numbers, it's just a matter of searching, over the board and finding them, because there seems to be absolutely no rhyme or reason in terms of the numbering. R35. I'm not going to try and search with the microscope, that'll just take too long. R35. 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 R34. R36. Just toying with me now. Okay. R35. Okay, so let's just have a look at this for a second. Just make sure that we're all looking at the same thing and everyone's happy. So R35, that is R35. Are we correct? Are we correct in that assumption? R35? Check, R35 is connected both sides. It is connected both sides. Well, it looks like it anyway. I can test it with the multimeter. Come on. Come on. I saw it before. Saw it with my own two eyes. Oh, I lost it. Where is it? I'm losing things all the time. Cross. Oh, Joe. Whoops, Joe. Thank you. Here, have some money to celebrate me just fixing a rare 43-track Apple II compatible drive because hooray! Congratulations, Joe. That is excellent. I'm very pleased to hear it. Incidentally, I did watch most, if not all, of the live stream that you did with Steve. And I watched you building a device and then forget to put, was it 2 or 3 components on at the end? And it was a very rewarding moment when you finally found those. So anyone who is watching, who hasn't subscribed to Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, jump across, do yourself a favour, get over there, subscribe to Joe's Computer Museum. He actually does stuff with knowledge behind it. Okay, that should still be reading 22 ohm. Let's check. Let us check. Let's check. Oops. Oh, crap. Rolling over my test leads. Come on. Ouch. Just bang my head. Oh, man. How did I manage to get that so messed up? Right. Forgot 4 transistors. Yes. Oh, dear. Love it. Love it. Okay. All right. So let's have a look. We've got... It was R35, we said, wasn't it? And I am currently reading 22 ohms. So that's 22 ohms. Oh, God, there it is. And I'll check and make sure that all the traces are good and everything, but yeah. God, I'm warm. This thing's hot again. Right. R35. Just going to scrape a little bit away here so that I can get my testaroonies on it. Put that there, and that's good. That's good. And then from this side, he goes to there. Oh, we got another one. Attack of the Super Chats. Nate, thank you very much. Have you ever fixed a board twice for a customer, as in the same board, or had a customer come back with a different board? I have had a board. It was a 2VX for a customer of mine. Some of you may know Madeline McAndrews. Jumps into the chats from time to time. Okay, everything appears to be fine on this side of the board with R35. Just letting you know that, Kai, so you can use that for your research. Anyhow, sent a 2VX to me, and I recapped it and fixed a bit of trace damage and put it all back together again. It all seemed to be working fine. And then she took it home and she was using it and she was finding it was crashing a lot. And actually, I think it had problems starting up or something. So anyhow, she brought it back to me and it all just seemed to be working perfectly. I was like, what's going on? But then eventually it started misbehaving for me as well. So that's a board that has come back. It had a recap and a bit of a clean, but it clearly has some other problems there, some damage traces or something. I have an ominous feeling. Let's connect to the BBU. Might be the BBU that got barbecued. Well, that's okay. There's a gate array, so entirely possible some sections might have died. Well, let's swap the BBU. Let us swap the BBU because we can. Apart from the fact, there is one thing I don't like about the BBU, and it is a ginormous chip. What does it stand for again? Bob's Country Bunker? Something like that. Little reference to the Blues Brothers there. Bob's Big Unit. That's a bit rude. Okay, all right. So now, question for you, Kai, very quickly. You had your suspicions about the 74 LS 245s, which I think they're the multiplexes, unless I'm getting things wrong, and I regularly do. Are you still feeling that they might be a problem, or are you thinking like our BBU is now looking like our most likely problem? Those feelings of ominousness. Because I'm about to take off the BBU. We're almost at the point of no return. Right, I'm going to have to probably not do this with a microscope because I have to kind of get the heat going downwards. So I'm going to just go to top view. Swap them out to rule them out. Yeah, okay, well, you know what? I might swap them out. I'll do them one at a time. Just so I'll do the BBU first and test. Then I'll do those two. Only because when I fix two things at the one time, you don't isolate what the problem was. And so I'm going to do one at a time. So, this is what this live stream is going to be. I'm not going to end up doing anything else in this. Nothing. And that's fine. That's fine. As long as people are enjoying what I'm doing and they're reasonably entertained. I mean, you don't have to be super entertained, but at least reasonably entertained. I'm fine with it. I had someone contact me recently saying, oh man, I want to get one of these classic boards. And I'm like, hold your horses. It's not quite ready yet. Can you send me one? No, not yet. I've mentioned before, as I've been removing these, there are nozzles you can get that are designed specifically for removing large chips like this. I don't have one, but I wish I did. Okay, off comes the BBU. Can I just mention very quickly, if you're using a really cheap hot air station, getting big chips like that off is a nightmare. I use the cheap one, and you get by with them. You can do a lot of stuff with them, and they're better than nothing, and all that sort of stuff. I'm not trying to say to people, oh, you've got to go out and buy the most expensive of everything, because It's just not the case. But I'm just saying, a big chip like that, using a cheap hot air station, would be an absolute nightmare to get off. Dana, where have you been? Welcome to the live stream. How does one battery? Well, that is a lesson that needs to be learned. Everyone needs to learn to battery. And I know I've mentioned it before, but for anyone who is watching for the first time, or maybe who missed it before, the concept of learning to battery came from a Facebook post where someone had asked a question about a particular problem, and I don't remember specifically what the problem was, but one person just dropped in a neat little reply to this person's post, and their reply was, learn to battery. And that has since then just become part of our daily vernacular. Why don't you learn to battery? Oh, Oz Retrocop. Tone, hello, thank you for joining. I've got the second wave of arrivals here. So for anyone who is actually just joining, and I see a couple who have just joined, not only am I going through mountains of, what do you call this stuff? Solder wick, which you can't see because I haven't got it on a microscope view. God, I'm going to have to buy more solder wick in a big hurry. Actually, I will this afternoon. I am currently in lockdown here in Sydney. We are allowed to go out for exercise and within a certain range. And within that range of my house is the electronics store I buy my solder wick from. So I can exercise and buy solder wick at the same time. And of course it is a business expense, but I could get it delivered, but it just, yeah, going there anyway. Okay, so, okay, what? Sorry for my presence has monopolised things. You know what, Kai? My first Mac Classic, brand new Mac Classic build live stream is the highest viewing live stream I have ever done. So you do not need to apologise for anything. There is no doubt about the fact that there is a certain level of appeal. Now that is a Classic 2, so I will not be taking anything from that. That is also a Classic 2. Let's have a look what we have here. Here is another Bob's Country Bunker. We've got one here, and he actually looks, well, we've got a little bit of corrosion around the side there. Let's see if we can find a better one. Here's another Bob's Country Bunker. Oh, this one looks nice. Yeah, that's a nice, neat one, that one. That's the one we're going to take. Is there some sort of issue with me? I've done something. Oh, the microscope camera. It's fluffed out. Notice how I didn't use a swear word there? I'm getting good at it. Okay, so let's see if we can't get this microscope working again. I do that by switching it off and switching it on. Bingo! All right, here's Bob's Country Bunker chip. Got to tell you, feeling good about this. That's right. I couldn't do this, could I? I can't do it with a up view. So when you're removing these chips, there is often a little bit of flux around them can help expedite the removal. So yes, anyhow, I basically started with this. This live stream was going to be me doing old repairs, pulling them out and trying to fix ones that have gone into the too hard pile. But what happened was, let's just move him out of the way. What happened was, just before I went and did my live stream, I had it all scheduled and everything like that. And Kai just sent me a message on Discord, and he said, "Hey, I've just spotted something. I've got a missing trace here between this bit and this bit." Sent me the picture. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I said, "But look, I'm about to jump on the live stream. Before I get started on any of those boards, how about I, how about I give that a try? We'll join it up and we'll see what we can do. Like, yep, no worries, sounds good. So, did that. But I just did not want to waste the opportunity of having Kai here and watching and awake. I hate to think what time it is over there. But Kai being awake and watching, and I thought, you know what? I am going to utilize his brain while he's here, and we'll see if we can get this going. And we have made some progress, I've got to say. We went from a situation before where we had nothing to now it goes burn, and that is what I call progress. All right, that will be ridiculously hot now, so I'm not going to touch it. Okay, let's put that there. And let's put this here. Don't really see PLCC chips anymore, do you? No siree. Not in new stuff. Gone are the days. Yes, okay. Whoopsie, goodness me. I was like, geez, the chat's gone slow. And then I realised that I was scrolled up. What an idiot. "3:46 a.m. now, okay. My wife let me stay up. Oh, aren't you lucky? Excellent. Well, I apologise if I'm making this go really slowly. I appreciate that you probably just want to go to bed. But, this is your baby. It might be on the other side of the world, but still your baby. Right, across to microscope view. If anyone ever wants information about the microscope I use, the camera I use, that sort of stuff, it's all in the description. Oops. Bloody microscope's gone again. Look at it. It's this cable. It's the darn cable. For darnness. We'll get it back, don't you worry. Ninja typing. Okay, so yeah, so if we get it working, you won't be able to go, woohoo! We'll have to go, whoa. Yay. All right. Okay, so just a reminder to everyone who's watching, we are about to put on a replacement Bob's Country Bunker chip. Okay, I've just done one pad there. It's rather precarious, I know, but it just means that when I get over to this side here, if I can't get the thing to line up, I only have to unsolder one pin. I can get it to line up, so that's nice. Okay, so I now have this tacked on with 2 pins. And now I can let loose with some drag soldering. I'll make sure I've got plenty of flux for this. It will make the job of drag soldering 1,000 times easier. 1,000. This is where a beveled tip comes in real handy, because I can put the flat part of the bevel flat onto the board, and then the edge just tucks in underneath these pins. The flat part heats up the pad, and the top of the bevel heats up the pin, because everything that you're soldering to needs to be hot. You can't just have one part hot, it all needs to be hot. Anyone here in the chat, has anyone ever soldered a wire onto the end of a battery? it's unbelievably dangerous. Don't do it, because if your battery could actually explode. But even knowing that knowledge, even knowing how dangerous it is, does anyone here actually done it? You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Of course I have. You need to spot weld it. Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. But imagine for a second that you don't do what you're supposed to do. Okay. Now I've soldered up Bob's big, beautiful unit. And we're just going to have a look at this from an angle to make sure I haven't done any bridges. I'll make sure they all look like they're all soldered on happy with no bridges. It looks good. 2 out of 4. 3 out of 4. And 4 out of 4. Okay. We got ourselves a new BBU. It's not new at all. It's second-hand. It's definitely second-hand. Just going to wait for it to cool a smidge. Elemento, hello. I don't think I've said hello to you today. CR2032 blow up. I'm going to actually do one right now, just because you know what I'm like. I like things to blow up from time to time, under controlled explosions. I don't know if I have a CR2032. How about I solder a 1.5 volt AAA battery? Let's see if I can solder this without it blowing up. Take a risk. So, I'm doing exactly what I should not do, because all in the name of science and viewers. So I've got my AAA battery here. I've got my flux, I've got my eye protection somewhere in here, and I'm going to try and solder this on. Let's see if we can do it. Need some wire. Can't solder without wire. Or can't solder wires without wire. Come on. Come on. There we go. Ta-da! So, don't do what I just did. It's very dangerous. But my point is it can be done. But it's dangerous, so don't do it. All right, so I think this has cooled down enough. Yeah, that's exactly it. You can, but you shouldn't. It's dangerous. There are inherent dangers. But see, the thing is that I am a ninja solderer. I get in there and I just solder and then get out again. And it doesn't even know what hit it. It's like, have I just been soldered? What just happened? Okay. So, new BBU. I'm going to connect this up now. We're going to see what happens. And potentially, Kai might ask me some questions. He might say, can you do this and can you test that and all this and things? And I will listen receptively and I'll do what he tells me to do. But the first thing we're going to do is just see if we've got any difference now with the new BBU chip. Now, what we didn't like, it was that this was exposed to some fairly high voltages going into places, well, voltages going into places they shouldn't have gone. So we're just always allowing for the fact there could be some busted bits on it. Okay, so new BBU, test, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we didn't get any of the brrr, bip, 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 bip. But we are still non-responsive. I'm going to press the reset button and see what happens, because that sometimes starts up the brrr, bup, 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 bup. Like that. It scares the blazes out of me. So that's it trying to start up, and it'll get to a point that it'll stop, and then it'll start again. Okay, so we can rule out problems with the boo-boo chip. With the boo-boo. The boo-boo is okay. So now we're going to try, again, as per Kai's recommendation, unless he comes up with something better, try hitting interrupt rather than reset. See if you can make it make the sad Mac tones. Interesting you say that. I did try that before without telling you, sneakily, and it didn't do anything. So, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because Kai told me, Kai told me, Kai told me so. I know everything I need to know because Kai told me so. Okay. So, he's on. I'll press the reset button. Why aren't you doing it anymore? It's not doing it anymore. Hang on. Okay. Press the reset button. Okay, but stop doing the business. It is a little bit temperamental with that burr. I mean, it might just start doing it out of the blue. That could also be this power supply, which does sometimes give out slightly lower voltage than it should be giving. But ever considered starting a rock band? I have. I've been in a rock band. Not a very good one, but I have been in a band. Is that a proper beat? No. No beat. Nothing. Okay. So, just switch it off. Switch it on again. No sound. Okay, so at the moment I haven't touched anything. It's just powered on. Definitely getting some warmth from the CPU, as we have been. I'm going to press the reset button now. No. We're back where we were before, where it does... I mean, if I just leave it on here, which I probably should for a sec. I was going to leave it on for a sec. Just for a sec. Let's get a good board, just so that we know what a beep sounds like. Is this a complete board? No. No, that's not a complete board. I do have one somewhere. Oh, shit. Sorry, just swore. Okay. Right. So, what we're wanting is to press the interrupt, which I'm about to do now. Pressing the interrupt does nothing. It stopped all by itself. That wasn't me that made it stop. Yep. Okay, so the program's interrupt's not doing anything. Just let that be logged for the record. The interrupt makes no difference to the burr. Ow. Right, so unless you have any objections to me doing this, Kai, I am about to replace these guys here, which are the 74LS245. Excuse me. I wonder if I should pull down the Classic 2 shell. Oh, the power supply is more stable than that one. Happy for me to remove these and replace them, Kai? Or do you feel like that is just an exercise in futility? Something on the buffered address bus isn't happy. I'm here to make it happy. It's my sole purpose today. I want to make that buffered address bus happy. Now, don't you blame my soldering now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start removing them. Just because it makes us feel like we're doing things. The BBU only selects the sound chip. The sound itself is connected to the VIA. I mean, do you want me to replace the sound chip with a definitely known good one? This one's a little bit green around the gills. I have no reason to think that it's not working, but I can replace it with a definitely known sound chip if you think there is any benefit in doing that. Or would you rather I get into these 74 LS 245s? Waits patiently for Kai's answer. PA1, PAQ, PA1, PA2. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Hello. That's how Australians say hello. Hello. How are you? Oh, good, thanks. The 245 should be the last thing to swap. The last thing to swap. Okay. Step away. Step away. Right. What do you want me to change next? Or what do you want me to test next? What? 51 people here watching at the moment. Hello to you all. For anyone who has joined recently, we are continuing with, it's not exactly what was planned, but because Kai is very graciously giving up his time, his sleep time, to help out with this board, took this opportunity to continue working on the Macintosh Classic Reloaded. I always want to say something else that starts with R, but anyhow, the Reloaded. And we have made what I would consider progress, but there have been a few issues. So just recapping on what went on. There are a few kind of faults with the board, and I've identified quite a lot of them and have repaired them here with little bodge wires and things. So that's all bodge delicious. We have got it to the point that when I plug it in, it goes brrrr, sometimes. So it doesn't always do that, but it does that sometimes. It does it enough for me to be able to think it's reasonably predictable. Okay, all right. I'm back to head scratching. I mean, go ahead with the 245s. Oh, okay. What he's basically saying is if the 245s aren't the problem, he's just going to go to sleep. He won't even tell me. He'll just go. He'll just leave me there in the lurch, and I'll be like, Kai? Okay. Right, off come the 245s. We're going to do it. Yep, we're going to do it. Going to change the microscope view. Okay. Democracy Manifest. This is the spot I have for the components that I take off the board, so I don't get mixed up with other ones. But of course, if they turn out not to be the problem, then I can actually assume that those parts are okay. Jeez, am I running low on wick? I think I'm running low on wick. God, I must have one here somewhere. Oh, that looks like a wick. Yeah, look at that. Got me a whole roll. Were all ICs known working prior to this build? I would go as far as to say no. They were taken from two primarily donor boards that were battery bombed. Now, they were battery bombed in a way where they would not have been sort of powered up. So I have fair confidence that these components are okay. So, well, they were anyhow before we started testing. There's possible damage being caused during testing, because we did have some fairly interesting things go on before with power going into places where it wasn't meant to go. So we could potentially blame that. Now, what I am doing now, all of these parts that I've been replacing today, I've been taking off a working board. So this board that I'm actually looking at right now, that I'm taking these components off, this board was booting yesterday. So won't boot no more. Missing a few parts. You know, Michael, I have been calling Wick John Wick for a very, very long time, or even sometimes I refer to my solder wick as Baba Yaga. But yes, it's a good question. Does it become John Wick if you take the wick to the John? Having said that, we tend not to call the bathroom the John here in this country. So it would become Dunny Wick in this country. Have you tried applying hot air to the ICs while it's fluffing? Perhaps the behaviour would change and help identify a culprit. I haven't. That sort of seems, I don't know. I don't know about that. Now here's what we need from Kai right at this particular moment with his incredibly alert and switched on 3:45 a.m. brain. Need him anticipating what to do next if replacing these components has made no difference. Busily thinking about, what are we going to test next? What are we going to replace next? It's not much to ask of someone who is holding their eyes open. Is it? Surely? That's a great drag solder. Let's get some flux on here and we can magically make those joints look pretty. Just like that. Oh, a bird's just come in. Is it one of my birds? Or is it one of the pesky pigeons? As per usual with my live streams, I come down here fairly hastily And I want to get started as early as possible because I know people are watching in other time zones. The later I start, the later I finish, etc., etc. And as a result of that, I generally don't eat anything before I come down here. So one of the things that generally dictates when the live stream is going to finish is when I get hungry. Yes, sorry, Kai. Who was it said it? Ron said, yeah, the brightness is actually one of the pins on this. There's actually a brightness pin on there. Top view. This power connector here. One of these is actually the brightness, which sends the signal back to the chassis to adjust the brightness. So, yeah, if we're not getting a picture, it's related to the logic board. There's no knob to alter it. There is not. There is a kind of a master adjustment for adjusting kind of brightness on the back of the thing. A little, what do you call those things? A little potentiometer, but this one's fine because I had Classic working on it yesterday and got screen and everything, so I know it's not that. All right, so now we're going to test it with our new LS245s. I'm just making up numbers at this stage. Just testing you all. Okay. Right. We're going to test it. I just wanted to wait for it to cool down. I generally don't like to fire these up when they're all still really hot from the solder, from the solder. Right. This is an oh so familiar moment where we connect some power up to this and then we see what happens. Plug. All right, we're ready? Let's see what interesting noises we get this time, or any. 3, 2, 1. Well, that means we can rule out the little L4S245 chappies. Bam. Incidentally, right at this moment, I am pressing the programmer's interrupt. Press, 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 press. No difference difference happening. I'm going to press the reset button. So, if I press it mid pop, 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 starts again. Bah, or doesn't start again. Roundabout now, Kai starts running for the hills. Now, before I go any further, one of the things I am going to do is I'm going to connect this to a different chassis. The reason I'm going to do that is because I do know that this power supply is a little bit under voltage. It needs some work. And so, I'm going to grab my Classic 2. Classic 2 has, I think, pretty much the same pins. Pin out, ouch, ouch, ouch. You can actually run a Classic board from a Classic 2 chassis and vice versa. And we can take little bits of aluminium with us when we go for a walk. So, just going to do this one just for S's and G's. Right. Connect the mundo. This Classic 2 has a compact flash SCSI emulator in here. I mean, I know we all know about the SCSI to SDs, we're using SD cards, but this is actually a compact flash, which means it's effectively an IDE to SCSI emulator thingy. It's got one of those A-card chip thingies on it. I picked it up from a customer from memory. I think they gave it to me as part of payment on some work that I did for them. And I'm like, oh, yes, please. I like having interesting things like that. All right, so I'm just going to power it up now from the Classic 2 power supply. I do believe we'll get it with the same thing, but I know this power supply is in better shape. So, and don't be surprised if no sound comes out, because I think that's one of the things that does happen when you put a Classic board on a Classic 2 power supply. I don't think the sound works properly. I think there is definitely some sound related thing going on. But anyhow, it's exactly the same. So, happy. Right, so now, do you want me to check those address lines again, Kai? I mean, after we've been doing all this stuff, I mean, I assume that they'd still be throwing some garbage, because otherwise we probably wouldn't be listening to. Oh, actually, they can go up here. Hey, Bernie. Saying hello to the chicken. Here I was thinking to myself that I would have trouble filling in time on today's live stream. And gosh, been going for hours. Okay. Steve, Mac84 is here. Hello and welcome to the live stream. I take it you are still traveling? Got to run, see you guys later. Oh, it's unacceptable. Look at that, 3 little posts and then poof, gone. He is way too famous for us now. Hanging out with his new fancy famous friends. Okay. More scope work needed. Right. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. In readiness for that, I'm going to put this here. Yeah, because the thing is that I can't necessarily just get like instantaneous answers from Kai. I mean, he's actually having to figure this stuff out as we go. So, you know, it's pretty demanding what I'm expecting from Kai at the moment. I'm going to try and do this without electrocuting myself. Just for the pedantic among us, electrocution is when you die from electricity. So when people go around and they say, oh yeah, I electrocuted myself on this thing, it's like, well, no, you didn't. You got a shock, but you weren't electrocuted. That's for the pedantic above us, among us. So let's switch him on. No, no more burr. It'll do it. You watch, it'll do it. It'll do it just in time to scare the bejesus out of me. But I don't want to test it until it does do it. So I much prefer testing it when it's going. It does it when I least expect it. So I'm just sitting here chatting away, and then it does it really loud, and it scares the hell out of me. I don't think Kai can believe he's still awake either. SCC, the VIA, and the SCSI. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am. SCC, serial chip controller or something like that? would he be? Yeah, I don't know. It's down to one working eye. The VIA and the SCSI chip, but only VIA would be linked to startup issues, I'd imagine. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm happy to replace the VIA. We can do that. And of course, there is another possibility that we have to also keep in mind, and that is that we have found throughout the last few days, we have found some problems on the board, and there may still be more problems we haven't seen yet. Kai's been busily comparing a high-res scan of a Classic to his design, you know, his layout of the board. And of course, it's very possible that he or I could have missed something thus far, and there could just be something that's not connected up that's meant to be connected up, or something that's connected up that's not meant to be connected up. Could be. So, in the interest of keeping things moving, I am going to replace the VIA because, well, why not? Bruce, concentrate on pins 2, 3, and 4 of the 7 next to the CPU. 7. Okay, all right, that's what we're going to do. Because that next to the CPU. That's okay. The one closest to the CPU, which would be this guy here. All right. So, pin 2. Whoops. Oh, shuzbutt. Okay, that's pin 2. That definitely looks like structure to me. That's pin 3. That also looks like structure, albeit a bit odder. That you said earlier that's weird, didn't you? I think you said that's weird. Something along the lines of that's weird. So that's pin 3. And this is pin 4. That's also weird. Now, you know what I'm going to do now? In the interest of science, I'm going to get a good board and we're going to compare. Bad board. Do I have a good board? I did, didn't I? I had one. Yeah, here's one. Okay, this one has no reset button because I accidentally took it away, but that's a little bit embarrassing. When I was doing the build, I was like, oh, I need some reset buttons. Which computer will I take them off? Oh, these ones look nice. I'll take it off these ones. I accidentally took them off the good board. Now that beep, don't get excited. That's a good board. It's a known good board, so we're not allowed to get excited. Shan't be allowed to get excited. So let's now have a look at pin 2. Pin 2 looks very different, doesn't it? This one's got all sorts of pulsy. Here's a fudge. Pin 3. That's very different as well. Whoop. I just made it make a noise. I gave it a sad muck face by accident. That's pin 4. Now that was what we were getting. The other one, the pin 4 looked much like that, I thought. Just get some tweezers here. Whoopsie. Two. 3. So yeah, pin 4 I felt looked like that on the other one. So the output kind of looked the same, but let's face it, trying to actually find some semblance of logic in that is very, very difficult to do. But looking at pin 2, okay, see, look at what pin 2's giving us. Pin 2's giving us something very different to what when we were looking at pin 2. Oh, when we're looking at pin 2, before. Oh, I've gone sad Mac again. I've accidentally. Okay. Shit. So when we were looking at pin 2 before on the other board, it was just straight pulses. This is a lot more activity going on here. So there's very different stuff on pin 2 happening. And pin 3, same again. Pin 3 was the one giving us those weird kind of mountainous type things. These that were going like steps going up. Whereas this is quite different. So anyhow, I'm not gonna say too much. I'm not gonna say too much about that. You read into that what you will. Let's see what Kai has to say. Pin 3 is fed by the SCSI controller and the CPU. The SCSI chip being removed would clean up the address bus. You pass startup so it won't look the same. Yes, no, I guess you're right. I mean, what we're now looking at is, we're looking at stuff coming through that's going to have a different look about it. So do you want me to just whip off the SCSI chip, eh? SCSI chip has now instantly become enemy number 1. And we'll see what happens. We'll see whether our SCSI chip is messing us up. So there he is. There's our little friend SCSI. Just going to whip him off. Just going to do that. Just like that. See? Without a second thought. Off comes the SCSI. It's the last idea I have before I have to crash it. Yep, no worries, Kai. I cannot thank you enough for the time that you have invested today. And regardless of how we look at it, I actually feel pretty positive. I feel like we are getting close. Although it may not seem it. One of the things that I will be doing probably today, later today, is I will be getting, spending a lot of close-up quality time with a genuine classic board compared to this board and see if I can find any other disparities. Just a little bit of ISO alcohol here. I am going to change the name and the thumbnail of this live stream. Just anyone who might be looking for it later on, I'm going to call it Building a Brand New Classic Part 3. We don't need no stinking SCSI. 4:28 a.m. Good on you. Wackadoodle. Yep, okay, so we've got to look out for the old wackadoodle address bus. I should be putting some of these up here. We have the beginnings of code execution at least, but we know something on the address bus is wackadoodle. So, all right, well, I think that's cooled down enough. We have banished the SCSI chip from the board. Let's now plug it in and see what happens. I'm glad I brought the oscilloscope out. We've definitely been able to diagnose a lot more. So I might put a link, I may end up putting a link in the description to the video that I watched explaining basics of an oscilloscope, because when it actually came time to use one, I was just looking at all these dials and knobs, and I'm like, oh god, none of this makes sense. And because I watched this YouTube video, and this guy just went through it, and you just realise that they're sure a lot of these have all sorts of fancy things in it, and this one can do all sorts of amazing stuff. But on the whole, there's really only a few buttons and knobs you need to focus on, and they're fairly straightforward once you understand them. So just for anyone out there who might be thinking that an oscilloscope is, you know, is all too difficult and confusing, do yourself a favour, go out and learn how to use it. This one here is not particularly expensive, Siglent, and this is a 200 megahertz. That's written on there, 200 megahertz, and that essentially means how quickly it can read stuff. You know, so yeah, and it's got all sorts of fancy computery things as well. And so 200 is pretty good. I mean, the cheaper ones you'll find would be 100, but it's a 200 megahertz, and it has 2 inputs. So, oops, I just bumped it. All right, we ready? We're going to fire it up. This is firing up now without the SCSI chip. 3, 2, 1. We didn't get any burps. Still had nothing on this screen. Let's go back to testing this little guy. So, pin 2. Oopsie, bugger. Try it again. Okay, so that's pin 2. Once again, definitely seeing some structure going on there. Pin 3. This is the one that has the little mountains and stuff, or stairs. Yep. So there's the one with the stairs. Stairs. So that's pin 3. And then pin 4, which is the output. Oh, shivers. Pin 4, which is the output. And that is... Well, as I said, that actually looks very similar to the output on the other one. But let's face it, how would I know? How would I know the difference? I wouldn't, is the answer to that. No way. It's just not possible. All right, so. Okay. Short on pin 3 tracer cap somewhere. Hello, Sam Johnson. Thank you for joining. Grr. Kai just said grr. We don't want that. Yes, an oscilloscope. Yes, I don't normally get the old, get the big guns out. So Micro Major Repair, thank you very much for joining on to the onto the stream. I'm sorry, I will actually be stopping fairly soon, but thank you for joining. But I hadn't actually planned to do this today in the live stream, but Kai generously offered his time to help me go through and see if we could find out what was wrong with this board. And I wanted to take that opportunity, and obviously in terms of what we're having to do here, we really can't do it without an oscilloscope. So we had to I had to whip it out. I don't normally keep the oscilloscope down here. I normally keep it up in the house, not in the shed, only because I don't have room on the table. But as you can see, with it lying down here and facing up and all that sort of stuff. But anyhow, thank you. I will probably, first of all, just so that, you know, Kai, thank you very much. We will stop working on this board. I will probably wrap up the live stream fairly soon too, because I have been going for 3 hours, which for me is enough. And it is time for me to eat some breakfast, even though it's now lunchtime. So Kai, thank you very much for your time. Please feel free to head off now. I'm not going to do anything interesting. We will regroup on Discord over the coming days, and we'll try a few different things to test out. I'll put the SCSI chip back on. Yeah, so once again, thank you very much for your time. To everyone else who is here, as I say, I am probably going to wrap things up now so that I can have a bite to eat. I know this wasn't what was promised on the label. This was meant to be grabbing some of these old repair jobs here with problems and going through them and seeing if I can find a solution. But yeah, because Kai sort of kindly offered to help out, I took that opportunity. So everyone who has been here watching, and I think we had quite a few here today. I think we've got over 50 at some stage, which is great. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for keeping me company while I've been doing this. Thank you for the super chats, and there were a few. I do appreciate it, everyone. It's absolutely fantastic. And let's hope that part 4 of the Mac Classic building might actually bring us some joy. But, you know, we are getting closer. We're a hell of a lot closer than we were when I was melting cables. So, yeah, we've definitely made some progress. And we know we're getting signals and stuff coming from the CPU, and we're getting beeping noises. It's bloody exciting. So, just before I go, please, if you haven't already, can you
Smash that like button.
And hopefully you will join me at my next one. Thank you once again, and have a lovely day, evening, morning, whatever the case happens to be, and hopefully see you at the next one. So bye all.